I've been married for 15 years with my wife and our son is 18 years old. I think I was a good father to him, always present, always supporting him. I was the first he talked to when he had a bullying problem, a math problem, when he needed romantic advice. He is straight but likes cross-dressing and doing makeup, and I was the first one to support him on that too, while his mom was trying to make him more masculine. However, recently I discovered that he is not actually my child. My mother-in-law said he had to tell me something important, so I went to meet her and told me that my child is actually my wife's high school boyfriend baby. She gave birth at 20 but apparently she was cheating on me with her old boyfriend. My mother-in-law said my wife told her the truth after he was born because she had suspected that the baby didn't exactly look like me and mother-in-law confronted her about it, but the baby was already born and nothing could be done. I was mad and asked her why is she telling me this right not? She told me it's because she saw my son hanging out with his bio dad at a park and believes that he is back in their lives. I decided not to shoot the messenger and went out to confront my wife and son about this. After a long argument they told the truth. The bio dad was back and wanted to meet his real son. A lot of shit happened and I'm divorcing, and also cutting my wife's son out of my will, because I never had a real son and all this time I was putting all my energy and effort raising another man's child. I'm also consulting if it's possible to sue the bio dad for all the money I've spent raising his bio son throughout the years. My wife is obviously mad at me, but my son is just devastated. I can see him depressed, not talking to me, and constantly apologizing. My plan was to divorce and cut contact with them right after that, but now I'm wondering if I'm going too far by punishing him too. Edit: everybody is asking this. The kid knew about his bio dad for about 4 months before I discovered it. And yes, we did a DNA test. He insisted a lot of it, and after it came back negative is when I think his depression really hit. You're right, maybe it is useless to sue the bio dad, but I'll ask a lawyer anyway. Edit 2. Many people are comparing my situation to being a stepdad or an adoption. There is a difference. I thought for over 18 years that he was my real son. I 100% believe that adoptive parents are real parents and their adopted children are their real children, but they willingly went into the adoption process. They know their family is not blood family. I was tricked into my situation. If I had known my wife after the baby was born, I wouldn't have cared because I knew it was somebody else's son, but I thought this was my real son, and just now I find out that he isn't. Anyway, I need to talk to him when he feels like it. Comment 1. You and the child are both innocent. And both victims. An 18-year-long deception takes time for you both to process and contemplate. Divorcing your wife for deceiving you for so long does not take much time to assess. But you and your son are still exactly that, dad and son, until you decide otherwise. Neither of you should rush to a decision about undoing that. Don't hold it against your son that he has engaged with bio dad, as clearly this is another manipulation by the mother. Your son may technically be an adult at 18, but no 18-year-old is equipped to navigate this scenario. Especially without the love and guidance of the dad he has known for 18 years. Please consider investing 1 year on making any permanent, life-changing decisions about the two of you. Good luck. Comment 2. For context, my brother went through something similar to OP and it was very painful, but got through it and loves his daughter, who is troubled and needs my brother's support given the manipulation her mom put her through. I agree that the child was put in a very difficult situation and was likely manipulated by his mom. 18 is only barely adultish. I agree you are his parent until you choose not to be, and I would take time to make that decision. At a very minimum, you has much more life experience and can be the wise adult in this situation and help your raised son through this. Comment 3. That poor kid. He is not at fault for this situation, but he is sure being punished for it. How do you think he feels finding out the man he has known as his dad his entire life isn't and now is tossing him aside? I'm 23F, pregnant with my first child, a daughter. My boyfriend, 23M, and I have decided to name her Ren. We didn't tell many people yet. My boyfriend told his parents and I told my parents and my siblings. After I told my sister, 30F, she asked me if we could talk and she showed me a list she had of names her and her husband had chosen for future babies. Ren was the girl name they had chosen too. I had no idea. My sister never thought anyone in the family would go for a name like Ren. And when she heard we had chosen that, she got a little sad. You see, my sister and her husband have been TTC for 6 years and have been unsuccessful with the exception of one miscarriage 5 years ago. Right now they are undergoing some fertility treatments to try and have a child. It's been super hard on her, and when my boyfriend and I learned we were expecting, we agreed I should tell my sister first and give her time to process. She told me how much she appreciated it and she was sad for a little while after. As well as super jealous. But I understand because this is something she has wanted for so long and it was difficult for her to see me get pregnant so fast. I love my sister and I always want to try and be understanding and not make her feel like shit because I'm having a baby and she's still trying to. But when she asked me to please choose another name so she could name a future daughter that, I didn't feel like I could agree to that. My daughter feels like Ren to both me and my boyfriend. We've already got some items with her name on them. We have grown very attached and bonded more with our Ren. I know to many it's not a big deal for people to share the same name in a family, but our family doesn't really like doing that. Our names might have been used in previous generations of the family, but we never liked the idea of 2 living members of the family sharing a name, and we're all so close that it would get confusing. So I know to her it means Ren has to leave their list if I use it. I told my sister I couldn't change my daughter's name after we had already committed so heavily and the name felt so right to us. She burst into tears but told me she understood. She hugged me and everything. Then my Bill got involved and he tore me a new one for not sacrificing a name so that my sister can hold onto the hope that she'll get to name their future daughter that one day. He said she has been such a good big sister to me and this would cost me nothing. Comment 1. Nata, nobody owns a name. We gave my daughter a unique name, and a close friend has used the name for their daughter who is 7 years younger. At first it annoyed me, however I'm trying to take it as a compliment. I've never been rude or asked them not to use it. I understand you sister's heartbreak, however she might be blessed with a son and never have a daughter, and never use the name. You could therefore forever regret not using a name that you love so much. Comment 2. NTA, but it's a hard situation and I'm glad you and sis can speak about it openly. Perhaps there's a possibility for her to use Ren as a middle name? Here we call people Jenny Ren for example, but it could be anything. That could be a nice way of honoring your bond too. Comment 3. I will most definitely get downvoted for this. But your sister has been struggling, and motherhood may not be in the cards for her. But she is holding out hope one day to have a daughter, and to name her Ren. Chances are this may never happen. So she will spend her life watching you become a mother. She loves you, and will love your children. But will forever be sad that she never got her Ren, yet you did. Is a name really that hill to die on, or is your love and empathy for your sister more important? I know no one owns a name. But where has empathy gone? I, 27F, have been married to my husband, 36M, for 2 years and we have been together for a total of 5 years. My husband has 2 daughters from his previous marriage and 3 months ago I gave birth to our first child together. When my husband and I first got together, his daughters were very young and I have been pretty much fully involved in their upbringing ever since we got together. Their mother isn't around so they pretty much view me as their mom and I absolutely view them as my own. We have always been a happy family together from the start. My parents on the other hand weren't as supportive of my close relationship with my daughters. They always told me that it isn't my job to play mommy to children that aren't biologically mine. This definitely created a wedge between us because no matter how many times I told them how important they are to my life, they still refused to accept that, which I guess they have a right to. My in-laws, on the other hand, have been supportive of my close relationships with my daughters since day one, and they truly make me feel part of the family regardless of whether the children are mine biologically. About a year after my husband and I got married, I brought up the idea of me legally adopting our daughters so that in the extreme case of something happening to my husband, I would be able to continue taking care of them without having to go through legal troubles. And again, my parents were extremely against that idea, regardless of my husband and I being married and me pretty much being involved in the girls their entire life. 3 months ago, my husband and I had our first daughter together, and in our town it's a tradition to choose godparents for a newborn even though we aren't really religious. My husband and I both agreed that it would be best for his parents to become our daughter's godparents since they have been supportive of our family since the start. When my parents found out we weren't choosing them as godparents, they got upset with us because they felt like they should have been the godparents to their first grandchild. But since they never were supportive of our family, I didn't feel like they deserved to demand anything like this. Comment 1. So, when you were 22, you have met a man nearly a decade older than you that got you taking care of his kids as soon as you have started dating and is wondering why your parents were suspicious from the start? I'd give your parents a bit of grace on this one if they are overall good parents, as I would be concerned for my daughter if I were in their shoes, and hope you would be as well for yours. Overall, we have no idea how your marriage actually is, but as a parent I get why they would be suspicious. And of course your in-laws would be happy there is someone raising their grandchildren. There is no great virtue on this part. Not sure on your costumes, but did you not choose your parents to spite them? It's a nah or potentially ESH, not enough details. You would have been TA in my books if you focused on spiting your parents instead of choosing what would have been best for your child. Comment 2. So you were 22 when you got involved with an older guy with little kids, and you became an Instamommy/babysitter for him. And you wonder why your parents didn't immediately support your decision? I'd be wondering if I should get involved with those kids in case you finally dump the guy who's having you babysit for him. I mean, you do you. But I don't see your parents as being bad guys. Just cautious. Comment 3. I mean, I can kind of see parents being worried their 22-year daughter is being drafted into playing mom by a man a decade older. When your kids are teenagers/co-ed, you might see why they were concerned. That said, it's done. You haven't said if they've come around to the relationship now. I understand wanting to make sure the kids will be treated equally and kept together. Maybe it's worth it to have conversations with them about what their concerns were back then. And your concerns about equal treatment now. I have been taking my 9-year stepdaughter to dance classes for 4 years. I drive her every week. My husband, her dad, and I pay for every single fee associated with her dance school. This year, her end-of-year recital lands on her mother's custodial time. Her mom has committed to taking her to the show. I volunteered to be the backstage parent, managing the class backstage when they're not performing, helping with hair and makeup, etc. I did this for the last 2 recitals, and my stepdaughter loves having me there to hang out and support her. The dance school reached out yesterday to tell me that my stepdaughter's mother asked them to remove me as backstage parent and put her in. They agreed to do it without discussing it with me first because she basically told them it was her custodial right. To be clear, nothing in their court order says anything that would prevent me from being able to be around her even though she's not in dad's custody. Mom and I have a history of high conflict. I believe she is trying to remove me because she doesn't want me spending any extra quality time with her daughter. She simply hates me and my husband. If you are wondering, I have nothing to do with why she and my husband never worked out. I could bow out and accept this because I'm not the biological parent, but it breaks my heart because I love being there and dance is my thing with my stepdaughter. Whipter if I reminded the school who their paying customer is and asked them to go back on the decision and advocate for me? I want to fight back and give them all the context so they can understand why I have the right to be there. But I also don't want more conflict with Mom, who would be upset if the school has my back. If you are wondering, I don't think she would go to the lengths of not taking her to the recital over this, because she has to know that would be devastating to her daughter who's worked hard to prepare for her performance. I'm not sure what the best way for all of this to play out would be. Update. I called the dance school, but not to have them change their decision. I gave them all the context. I should have clarified in my op that she lied to them and implied I wasn't legally allowed to be there on her time, which is not true. The owner of the school says he feels completely manipulated by her mom. He apologized. He offered to make it right and said he and his wife, co-owner, were comfortable with reaching out to mom and telling her that I am the backstage mom. They also said it would never happen again. I told them that I really appreciated that they are owning up to how it went down. But I told them that I would rather take the high road and leave it at that. I told them not to reach out to mom. Let her have it. I also apologized to them for having to deal with drama that should have been handled by our family privately. The only thing that matters to me is that my stepdaughter has a wonderful experience. I could have won this, but if that would have created even an inkling of stress for my SD on her big day, it wouldn't be worth it. My plan is to tell my SD, hey, I know I said I'd be backstage this year, but great news, your mom wants to do it. You guys will have so much fun together. I'm glad she will be there for you. Then I'll be in the audience with a bouquet of flowers and a huge smile on my face. Comment 1. ESH, you should attend the recital and kindly explain to your stepdaughter that you will be there, but her mom wants to be the backstage mom. Don't drive a wedge between them, and make sure your stepdaughter knows you still love and support her. Don't alienate her from mom. OP comment. I would never in a million years alienate her from a parent. I only want what's best for my stepdaughter. I love that she has a good relationship with her mom. This is a completely inaccurate example of parental alienation. How is me volunteering at the dance school that I pay for creating a wedge between her and her mom?